You want to try, but every time you think about starting, you picture yourself failing, so you do not start at all, and the days just keep passing by. In a remote mountain monastery, a young monk named Arian had spent 4 years living exactly this way. From his very first week, Master Shen had taken him on as a student, watching his progress with quiet attention. Arian was incredibly deliberate. He studied a room before he spoke. He watched before he acted. He executed his daily chores without making mistakes. The other monks looked at this extreme caution and assumed Arian possessed deep wisdom. Master Shen looked at the exact same behavior and saw a hidden fragility. One morning, Master Shen called Arian to his room and gave him an assignment no young monk had ever been trusted with. He wanted Arian to design and carve a massive new wooden teaching board for the main hall. When a highly visible responsibility is placed in front of you, the desire to do good work mutates. It stops being a creative goal and becomes a crushing psychological weight. Arian left the room with that exact weight sitting heavy in his chest. That evening, Arian sat alone with the blank piece of wood. Every monk in the monastery would see this board every day. If his lines were crooked or his shapes were uneven, his lack of skill would be on display for years. So he convinced himself he needed more time to plan. He pushed the wood aside to spend the evening thinking through a flawless design. The next morning, he picked up the wood, only to set it back down. He decided his tools weren't sharp enough. He spent hours hunting for the right chisels. By the afternoon, he had the tools, but decided the lighting in his room was too poor to begin. He would start tomorrow. 4 full days passed. The wood sat entirely untouched. On the 5th day, Master Shen walked into Arian's room. He stood silently, looking at the perfectly arranged chisels and the perfectly blank block of cedar. We tell ourselves we are preparing. We claim we are gathering resources or waiting for the right conditions. But endless planning is usually a sophisticated mask used to hide an absolute terror of being seen failing. Arian sat very still. He had spent 4 days rehearsing logical reasons for the delay, the tools, the light. But under Master Shen's gaze, those excuses evaporated. Arian confessed the truth. He was terrified of making something that would expose how little he actually knew. He braced himself. He expected the master to call him foolish or declare him unworthy of the responsibility. Master Shen didn't say any of those things. He simply told Arian to follow him. He let the young monk out through the back gate of the monastery, stopping at the base of a massive ancient tree on the edge of the grounds. Master Shen pointed to the lower half of the trunk. It was covered in cuts, hundreds of them. There were shallow scratches, deep gashes with torn edges, and awkward shapes that stopped before being finished. Master Shen explained that many years ago, a young monk came to this tree every single day to practice his carving. Every cut he made was wrong. His lines were uneven because his hands simply lacked the understanding his mind possessed. These chaotic, ugly gouges were not a permanent record of failure. They were a physical ledger. They were the unavoidable cost of training human hands to execute a vision. Without another word, Master Shen led Arian back inside, stepping into the dim, quiet space of the main hall. He stopped in front of the central altar and pointed to a small wooden object resting on top. It was a tiny wooden bird with its wings spread open. The craftsmanship was stunning. The lines were clean and sure. The wooden feathers were carved with such delicate care that they actually looked soft. Arian stood in front of the little bird in total silence. Master Shen looked at him and confirmed the truth. The exact same monk who had mangled the bark of the tree outside was the artist who carved this flawless bird. True mastery does not exist without the precursor of physical failure. You cannot learn to carve simply by staring at the wood. Your hands only learn how to succeed by repeatedly executing the task poorly. The master turned to Arian and delivered one final thought. The only monk who never makes a bad cut is the monk who refuses to pick up the tool. Arian walked back to his room. He sat down in front of the blank piece of wood. He didn't check the lighting. He didn't reorganize his chisels. He picked up his tool. His hand was unsteady. He did not wait for perfection. He drove the chisel into the wood and made his first crooked cut. Failure is not the end of the journey. It is exactly how the journey is made. The marks on the tree were not shame. They were the price of the bird on the altar. Pick up the tool. Make the first cut. Are you ready to begin today? Let us know in the comments. And if this story gave you courage, please like and share it with someone who is still waiting to feel ready.